This is the Unbreakable Podcast, and I am your host, Alicia Shropshire. If you're listening to this while walking, that's perfect, because walking is the first habit that I picked up when I decided it was time to change my entire life. When I first started, I was at a really, really low point in my life. I just was battling depression still. I felt stuck. I was overwhelmed. And I kept trying to do these routines that honestly just weren't compatible with my life at the time. Like, I did have a gym at my apartment complex, but I'm gonna be so for real, I still gave myself excuses to not go. I would sometimes go and do the 13-3-30 method and whatever, and it still wasn't sticking. And I don't know, it just kind of helped perpetuate the cycle that I just wasn't ready to get out of yet. I don't really have an explanation as to why I was doing that. I think I just, like I said, I was stuck and depressed, so I let myself stay that way. I wasn't very happy in my life. I wanted to love my job, but I hated it. I was going through kind of a tough time with my older daughter. Middle school was not a good time for us. I was still really struggling with a lot of self-worth and abandonment issues that I had not yet addressed, and that makes it really hard to function when you are constantly worried about what other people are doing, what other people are thinking, what you're supposed to be doing for the, it's too much. I was so caught up in being worried about everybody else that I just had no time to concern myself with what was going on with me. And then I got fired from the job that I hated, which I did celebrate, and that gave me some free time. And lucky for me, I was able to get unemployment, because the way I was fired was there was no reason given, and there had never been any real discussions about issues with my work performance. As a matter of fact, right before I had been fired, I actually was given a really good review and was asked if I was happy and how they could make things better for me and all these different things. So it was kind of a weird situation. So I took full advantage. I started doing the things that I enjoyed doing. I promised myself I was going to get in shape and that I was going to start focusing on my health so that I could be happy again. I had been following this TikTok creator. Her name is Mina. If you know her, you either love her or you don't. It's very split down the middle. I absolutely adore her, and she's big on walking. And I remember thinking I'd watch her videos and be like, oh man, I wish I was a stay-at-home mom and had time. And here I am. I became a stay-at-home mom with income, and I had time to walk, so I took full advantage. And at the time, I was still a licensed esthetician, so I was still doing eyelash extensions. So I will say that I wasn't completely unemployed. I did still have a job that I had to make sure I was available to do. And I would just start with little walks here and there, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, just kind of whatever amount of time I had to do it, I would get it done. And as this became routine, my mindset started to shift. I just started spending more time with friends. I was going out more, having more fun, spending much more time with my daughters. I actually began homeschooling them right around this time too, so we were together a lot. I wanted to kind of reaffirm our family bonds. The girls weren't happy in their schools, I wasn't happy with the schools, and it was just a big family reset that we had. And so, you're gonna hear all those things that I just said I was doing, even though I no longer had my full-time employment. I was still obviously a very, very busy person. But the thing is, walking is such an easy thing to add into your life, and it is successful if you are doing it consistently. Especially if you are somebody who needs to lose weight and you live a predominantly sedentary lifestyle, working up to that 10,000 steps a day is probably one of the quickest and easiest ways to get started on any sort of weight loss or fitness journey. Because that 10,000 steps a day is actually the bare minimum requirement of movement that a normal, healthy human being should be getting. So if you start by just getting to the bare minimum of normal human function, that is a huge win. And it's a really easy routine to stick to. Honestly, I'm sitting here recording a full podcast while I'm walking. It's not a difficult task. I had to wrap that up without recording, come home, because it was very dark and I tripped maybe 3 different times and I did not want to break my leg walking in the dark. So anyway, just walking, what is really nice about building that routine is it kind of creates this sort of like self-trust. You know that you're going to get it done. You look forward to it. You know that it's going to happen. Like even when your motivation is completely gone, you can at least go for a walk. Walking shouldn't even be something that you consider a chore. And that's kind of what happened with me. Was any time that I tried to talk myself out of it. I do this now. If I try to convince myself that I don't want to do it, I'm like, oh no, because you want to go back to pre-2024? I don't think so. And what is really, really nice is it also reconnects you to your body. And what I mean by that is as you're walking, you kind of start to notice where like the aches and pains are coming from. Like I have an old knee injury that realistically, I wouldn't have had such a issue with it had I not gained all that weight after having the injury and getting surgery. That was 100% related to my weight. There was no reason for me to still have pain other than the fact that I was heavily overweight. So one thing that I really benefited from was being able to kind of figure out what was hurting, why it was hurting. My hips would kind of start to hurt too. And again, these are all joint things if you're noticing. My joints were hurting because there was just too much weight on my body. I'm 5'5". I have no business weighing over 200 pounds. There's no reason to do that to myself. So, some people might hear that and go, well, I don't want to, figure out that I have a knee problem because I'm fat. Why would you not want to figure out why you're having this issue? You just want to live with chronic pain for the rest of your life, or do you want to lose a little bit of weight so that you can live comfortably? I don't know. But again, that's a mindset thing, and it does come with time. You have to change your mindset. You didn't get the mindset you have now in your 30s, 40s, 50s overnight. That was 100% something that you have lived with for probably the majority of your life. Somewhere along the line, you developed this really negative, woe is me mindset, and it's just stayed. You've gotten yourself trapped in this perpetual state of poor me, this victimhood mentality, and it helps get rid of it when you're moving your body, when you start to get those endorphins going. It's what it is. It is science. That's how it works. You have to get the good hormones going. You have to get the good chemicals flowing through your body. When people say you're chemically imbalanced when you're depressed, you balance those chemicals out by moving your body in the way it was meant to move. So that brings me to, the next big point was my mindset is what shifted first. By that repetition, by that routine, I was able to change my mindset. And it's because, again, moving your body in the way that it was intended to, it clears up your mental state. You don't have all these rushing thoughts just sitting there. I mean, when you're not moving and all you're doing is sitting at home thinking about how hard things are, or what you should be doing, what you want to be doing. I mean, I was there. I'm diagnosed with anxiety. I had a panic disorder diagnosis. I have PTSD. Honestly, I don't like to call it BPD. I probably had that too because of all the trauma I experienced. That's for a whole other podcast, but I had a lot of brain fog. My mental clarity was not there. There's always a lot going on. Walking will also boost your mood, which, I mean, hello, if you're depressed, you want your mood to boost, right? It also helps with your emotional regulation. Another thing that we need if we want to get out of this state, this mindset. I don't hear anybody says depression. Yes, it is an issue. It is a chronic issue. It's a mental health issue. It is one that can be fixed by movement. I'm not saying anything bad about medications. I had my stint with medication. It worked until it didn't. This is the only thing that has consistently worked without making me feel like shit. And what medication doesn't do for you is it doesn't help you feel proud of yourself. Getting up and doing something that you told yourself you were going to do every day, you feel good. It's incredible to me how many people think it's insane. Are you getting? It is incredible to me how many people think it is insane that I walk, anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. People tell me that's crazy, that they can barely get to 10. This isn't to knock people who can't get to 10. Our lives are busy. There's every excuse in the book to do it. I mean, the way, especially American society, the way the hamster wheel is set up is so that we are spinning at our desk. that we are spinning on our couch because we're trying to decompress from the insane chaos that was our day. You have to get out of the hamster wheel and get on a walking path and get outside. It does so much for your brain. I cannot tell you how much better I feel once I have worked out or once I have even just gone for a walk outside. That fresh air, seeing the scenery around you, especially if you have walking trails near where you live, so freaking beneficial. There's so much to be said for walking in nature. You don't have to go for a hike. There are plenty of walking trails, I'm sure, where there's trees and plants, flowers, whatever. Drive to a pretty neighborhood if yours is kind of ugly. I don't care what it is. Getting outside with fresh air will make a difference. Like, I would have to say, emotionally, I had never felt better in my life than when I was regularly getting up and going for a walk. It felt so good. I felt good about myself because I was getting something done that apparently not many other people do. I was starting to take my kids for walks. I mean, it's sad to me that it's not common. You don't see it as much as you should. And again, like I said, it's because our system is set up so that we aren't doing these things or that we don't have the energy to do these things. But when you take your power back just by going for a walk, you are going to feel incredible. So let's get into the physical benefits. I'm sure everybody wants to hear, how much weight did I lose walking and, what that was like, what changes I saw. We're going to talk about weight loss because honestly, yes, it's very important. It's a huge part of my journey. That is not the top of the priority list, and it should not be. Your overall health and wellness should be the top of the priority list. If you are someone who is still only worrying about losing weight, it doesn't work. Take it from me. I went on this cycle for years, over a decade. I did that. All I cared about was getting skinny, weighing a certain amount, seeing a certain amount on the scale. It doesn't work. You have to care about your entire being. Everything has to matter. So for one, my energy went up, and why that happens is because your body starts to get used to a certain amount of energy expenditure, so it creates more energy for you to be able to operate on the wavelength that you have been. So if you're exerting more energy, your body then starts to be like, okay, like let's keep this going. I like this. I like the way this feels. Your heart starts to feel good. Everything starts to feel better. I was losing my issues with inflammation. My joints weren't hurting as much. I did start to stretch my hips, especially. Fun fact, during COVID, when I was very heavy, I became a hot yoga instructor. And I did do hot yoga a ton, but I was not fit. Hot yoga was nice for my joints. It kept me mobile. It kept my limbs healthy, but it didn't make me lose weight, which is hilarious. But that just goes to show that a bad diet always wins when you are working out. So don't get it twisted ever. I was doing a ton of hot yoga and I did not lose weight during that time because I ate like shit. But yeah, so I was stretching before and after my walks, and I really fixed my hips. That was a huge issue for me because they were really starting to get sore, and that sucks to feel that. And my knee, sometimes I'd come back from walking and be super swollen. So I just started to implement just some very, very basic yoga movements so that I could kind of help my body adjust to the new routine that we were in. And once I got that down, it was insane. My left knee, it's the injured one, always was a little bit more swollen than my right knee, where now they both look the exact same. It's absolutely crazy. My knee has not looked normal since 2008. And now let's talk about fat loss. I did start to lose weight. I lost, in total, I think I lost 30 pounds, 20 pounds. 20 pounds was what I lost when I was walking regularly. But again, this was every single day I was walking. I was also eating very healthily because if I was going to be walking like that, I needed to start eating well too, because I did want to lose weight. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I didn't care about losing weight. Obviously, I cared about losing weight. That is a given. But I had to get the mindset of somebody who lived healthily. And if all you're trying to do is get skinny, that's not a healthy mindset if that's all you care about. My concern was good mental health. I wanted my overall health and wellness to be good. I was tracking my VO2 levels with my Apple Watch. I was also like tracking my heart rate. I mean, I was doing a lot because I want to be a healthy person. I don't want to be a skinny person. I want to be a healthy person. So I lost about 20 pounds just from like walking and changing my diet and doing a little bit of a calorie deficit. My diet was very much like ketogenic / carnivore during this time. I still ate like carbs on occasion. My boyfriend was a firefighter in a town very far away, and there was just a couple like little treats that we would like to get, and that was like my once a week thing that I did. So I wasn't super strict with anything, but during the week I was really, really strict. And then we had one day where we would kind of, it was the cheat day. I don't really subscribe to cheat days anymore, but back then I did, and so I'd have one cheat day a week. So I was pretty good about it, and ultimately throughout the entire year of 2024, I ended up losing a total of 30 pounds. But I also had started weight training. But again, that is a different video for a different time. We'll talk about that some other day. I feel like that just shows that being consistent is so much better than being intense with everything. Because honestly, at the time, had I gone strict carnivore while I was trying to implement all these new physical routines, I don't know that I would have stuck with it, because I really don't know, because I didn't do this, but at the time I do think that focusing on one thing like this and doing like tunnel vision with just getting myself more active and starting to kind of baby step my way into a different lifestyle was the way to go. Because when I did go strict carnivore, everything kind of clicked, but it was because I had the motivation and discipline from everything I did when I started walking. And this is kind of an interesting part. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it, but during my walks, I started to kind of turn them into my meditations. I would listen to guided meditation specific for walking, or sometimes I would just listen to, like some kind of like self-help audiobook while I was walking. And it just really, really helped cement that new mindset, because I knew I wanted to be better. I knew I wanted to get out of that victim mentality. I knew I didn't want to, let the things that happened to me in the past continue to define me, because I had spent a lot of time doing that. I tried so hard to reject all the things that happened to me that I ended up just being this like walking ball of anxiety and anger. And I knew that's not who I wanted to be. So you're already feeling good because you're walking, you're getting the endorphins going. You feel good about yourself because you're getting outside. I mean, like once that routine kind of like clicks, you're just happier. And so you're more willing to listen to motivational self-help type things. So I just started to do more of that. And like I said, it just like really like locked in the mindset of becoming this higher version of myself that I had always wanted to be, but honestly didn't really know how to get to be her. I could see people that seemed like they had it all together, and I'd be like, oh man, I really want to be like that girl, or that person seems to really have it all together. But trying to figure out how to get there while you're doing nothing is not helpful at all. And truly, by being a person who shows up and does the same thing every single day, you've already kind of changed your identity, right? Because before you were a person who was trying to make excuses for why you didn't want to do this thing, or why you didn't have to, or why it was fine if you skipped it. Where now you're like, okay, it's time to go for my walk. I have to do this. You're waking up and you're getting breakfast made. You become so much more intentional. And that wasn't really like who I was before, where now I do have a very set routine. It's what I do. And if I fall out of that routine, it is like, I'm not going to say like freak out, because that's not what it is, but I feel it. Like it definitely, if I do it for too many days in a row, I will freak out. I've had that happen, where I do have to just make it a priority. There are, of course, some times where there are priorities that are greater than me having to go for a walk. There just are, right? It's just the reality of life. But most days I can fit in 10 to 15 minutes. Just because it's not a 30 to 60 minute walk doesn't mean it doesn't count. I can still get up and I can still get outside and have that reaction that I need to feel good and feel like I got something done. And this is sort of like the first pillar of a habit stack. I wish that more people talked about habit stacking. I haven't seen it really discussed for quite a while, but just starting with that one thing, like choosing to go for a walk every day for 10 to 15 minutes, it then turns into, okay, I'm going to make my breakfast that I know I need to eat before I go for that walk. That breakfast turns in the same thing every single day because I know what my macros are for that breakfast, and I know exactly how much I need to feel like I have enough energy to complete a walk. So that's 2 habits that have now been formed. And then, I come home and I shower, get myself ready, and I do stuff around the house. That's like 2 to 3 more habits that have now stacked. Because you started one habit, you start to stack all these other habits on top of that one, and your life slowly begins to change. Where, like I said, now I have to go for a walk every single day. If I don't, it just doesn't feel right. And I can, I feel a difference in my mindset, and just like even my physical body doesn't feel as good as it would had I gone for a walk. I still have that same routine where it's like I'll eat my meal before a walk or after, depending on if I'm fasting that day or not. I do my walk, I come home, I clean up. My life is very routine. And I used to think that was boring, but it's because I was so used to chaos. So I used to look at people who had these very simple lifestyles where they did the same thing every day, and I'd be like, oh, I could never do that. And then I look back at my chaotic, crazy life that I had before, where it was always something. There was always some sort of chaos. There was always some sort of something to do. I was always spending money because we couldn't sit still. I prefer boring to that chaotic go, go, go any day of the week. I would rather just have my little routine, my little simple life, and I'm good. I am happy with that. Do I want more for my life? 110%. But the way things were going before, I couldn't even think about how to improve my life because there was just too much going on. I was so unhappy with my life before. I did everything to ignore what was going on, it was like I tried to get myself into an out of body experience, almost doing all these different things and having the chaos, because I didn't want to stop and focus on how shitty my life was at the time. Where now I thoroughly enjoy my life. I really, really do. I love everything about it. Again, I have goals. I want to up level. If this was my life for the rest of my life, it wouldn't be so bad. It really wouldn't. This is okay. But I have also turned into a person now where I know that I am capable of accomplishing more because of where I was before to where I am now. So if I can go from, lower than ground zero and be where I am now, sky's the limit. Totally. So where walking fits in now is, like I said, it just it keeps me grounded. It keeps my mood good. I've gotten really good at, if I'm feeling frustrated, I will go for a walk. I take a walk. If I am overwhelmed, or if I've been sad even, shoot, I go for hikes now. I live in the mountains. I can go hiking any day of the week. So it's just really given me an outlet for emotional regulation, where before I didn't have that. It's just really become a non-negotiable because it benefits myself and everybody around me. Oh, I'm going to wrap this up because it got much longer than I thought it was going to be. And I just want to say, if you are walking while you're listening to this right now, I'm proud of you. If you're not, I hope that you get some tennis shoes on and go at some point today. Let me know how you feel. I promise you will not be upset that you went for a walk. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Unbreakable. I really hope that this episode helped somebody. And if you feel called to do so, please leave me a review. It really helps. Comment as well. I welcome feedback, please. If you loved it, if you hated it, whatever, let me know. And if you're interested in any sort of one-on-one coaching, my wellness guides, or challenges, all of that is linked below. Until next time, stay unbreakable.